Using ratios. You can use what you have learned in the previous lesson on ratios and apply them to everyday life situations. Using ratios is especially helpful when converting between measurement units. That's when it's seen the most. So for example, there are 12 inches in 1 foot. But we can ask, how many inches are there in 4 feet? So in order to do this, we first set up a ratio using the given information, the 12 inches in 1 foot. And we then want to know how many inches, so that's an unknown, that's an x value, are in 4 feet. So we can write the ratios 12 inches to 1 foot is going to be some amount of inches to 4 feet. Now, since there are 12 inches in 1 foot and you want to find out how many inches there are in 4 feet, well, how are we getting from 1 to 4? You're multiplying 4. So that's like multiplying by a factor of 4. So we're going to multiply 12 by the factor of 4 to find the number of inches, which is 4 times 12 is 48. So using the given ratio and what we're looking for, we can see that there are going to be 48 inches in 4 feet. Here's another example. We have there are 3 feet in 1 yard. How many yards are in 12 feet? So setting up our ratio, the first thing we're given is there is 3 feet in 1 yard. So that's where we're getting 3 feet in 1 to 1 yard, that ratio. Now we want how many yards, so that'll be our variable x, is 12 feet. So 12 feet we're lining up with 3 feet, and our unknown is matching up with the 1 yard. Well, how many sets of 3 are in 12? We could also think, what are you multiplying 3 by to get 12? You could always divide, right? 12 divided by 3 equals 4, so that's why we're going to multiply by that factor of 4 to get that 12 feet is equal to 4 yards. Here's another example. There are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. How many centimeters are there in 5 meters? So here we set up our ratio with the given information that 100 centimeters is in 1 meter, or is 1 meter. So how many centimeters, that's our unknown, is going to be in 5 meters, sets up the ratio 100 to 1 and 5 to x. Now since there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter, and we want to find out how many centimeters are in 5 meters, again, we need to see how are we getting from 1 to 5. We're multiplying by 5. So let's multiply both sides by 5, which gives us our 1 meter to 5 meters. And now x becomes 100 centimeters times 5 to 500 centimeters. So there are 500 centimeters in 5 meters using that factor. Another example, we have there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. Now how many meters are in 750 centimeters? So our given ratio, our given information to set up is 100 centimeters in 1 meter. There's 100 centimeters to 1 meter. Then we want how many meters, that's our unknown x, is going to be in 750 centimeters. That sets up the ratio 750 to x. Now how many sets of 100 are in 750? That one's not as easy to see. We can divide to help us with that. And 750 divided by 100 is 7.5. So we're multiplying 100 by 7.5 to get 750. So we'll multiply 1 by 7.5 to get 7.5, which shows us the ratio that 750 centimeters is equal to 7.5 meters. Here is a problem that we can use the ratios and that converting between the two ratios and comparing the two ratios, what it would be used for. So this problem says Kylie needed 6 yards of fabric to make her Halloween costume. How many feet of fabric does Kylie need? So we need to convert from yards to feet. So we know that 1 yard equals 3 feet, so we need to know how many feet are in 6 yards. Well, if 1 yard is 3 feet, that's our first ratio we can set up. And we're trying to figure out how many feet, that's an unknown, are in 6 yards. So 6 yards would be compared to x. Now, how are we getting from 1 yard to 6 yards? We're multiplying by a factor of 6. So I'm going to multiply 3 feet by that same factor of 6 to get that 6 yards is going to be equivalent to 18 feet, and that answers our question. Another problem we see here is Henry measured his computer desk at home. The desk measured 72 inches across and 36 inches long. What are the desk's measurements in feet? A lot of times inches doesn't help us when we're trying to fit furniture in an area or in a room. We want to fit this desk in a room, so it's better to look at it in feet than inches. Well, we want to convert the inches to feet, so we know 12 inches are equal to 1 foot. So let's start with the across, the 72 inches across. So we're told we know if there are 12 inches in a foot, 12 inches equals 1 foot. We want to see how many feet 72 inches would equal. That would be our unknown. Well, 12, trying to get from 12 to 72 would be by multiplying by a factor of 6. You could always do 72 divided by 12 to help you with that. So let's multiply 1 foot by 6 to find out that 72 inches is going to equal 6 feet. So across, this desk is 6 feet long, or wide. Now let's look at length. Let's look at 36 inches long. Well, it depends on your perspective, what your length versus your width is, but it isn't specific. But this across is 6 feet. Now let's look at the length. So we've got 36 inches long. So again, we know the same unit rate, 12 inches equals 1 foot. And we're looking for 36 inches equaling an unknown amount of feet. Well, 12 to 36, you're multiplying by a factor of 3. You could always do 36 divided by 12 to see that 36 inches is going to equal 3 feet. So that desk is 3 feet by 6 feet. One last problem for good measure. Actually, I think we have 2 more. So the second to last problem. Again, the more practice you have comparing the two, the better. So Caitlin runs 1 kilometer every day. What is the distance she runs in 1 week in meters? So we know that 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. So we want to know how many meters are in 7 kilometers. Because if she's running a kilometer every day, 1 week would be multiplying that by 7 to give us 7 kilometers. So our information we're given is that 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. We have that rate. But we want to know about 7 kilometers. We want to know that unknown amount of meters for 7 kilometers. Well, 1 to 7 would be multiplying by 7. So if I multiply 1,000 by 7, I'm going to get that 7 kilometers is 7,000 meters. So she is running 7,000 meters in 1 week. If she's running that 1 kilometer every day, she's now running 7,000 meters in 1 week. Now for our last problem, we have Corey lives 2 miles from her school. What is the distance from her school in yards? Right? We're trying to figure out how many yards does Corey live away from school, knowing that 1 mile is equal to 1,760 yards. So that's our first rate we can use, is the 1 mile is equal to 1,760 yards. But we want to know 2 miles from school. We want to know that unknown, how many yards that's going to be. Well, from 1 mile to 2 mile, we're multiplying by 2. So we need to multiply 1,760 by 2 to find how many yards that would be. Well, 2 miles, if we multiply by 2, is going to be 3,520 yards. So she lives that many yards away from school. So you can see we can be using these ratios and comparing them and finding different factors in order to look at a different rate, or look at a rate in a different way.